morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are, whatever time it is. We are doing teaching points. And we have got up to perpetual motion. Right, we are not going to ignore page 34, but we're not going to start with that. We're going to start with Allegro and then come back to it. If that means I forget, please remind me that I said that. Okay, so violins, we're going to play through it first, like we always do.
Oh, good. I'm really sorry. I need to ask you. I've come up with these things, and then I don't know what to do with them actually. You know, to make it into
get yourself a ring binder folder.
Yeah.
And hole punch them, or put them in those plastic sleeves.
Yeah.
And then what you want eventually is the music on the right hand side and your notes on the left hand side that are printed on your computer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Did you remember the thing I sent out, like the example for accommodator children?
Yeah, I remember that bit.
So the whole folder will look like that by the end of the year.
I think I remember it. Is it on WhatsApp?
Email, Dropbox. I think I'll put it in the Dropbox as well.
Okay.
So it will basically look like that, but then with the notes for the pieces on this side.
Okay, and it's okay that I've got my notes.
And if you've got more notes than one page, you just put more notes in, that's fine.
But I copied it from my book that I've already written in, is that okay? From here, where half of it is already written on. So is that alright?
Yeah, as long as if you're using colours and stuff, it looks how you want it to look, not
Well,
like on my
I'll go
photocopy.
over it. But they're not going to say I'm not allowed to have those.
No.
Right.
They rarely look at it, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, they do look at them. They flick through to check that they're there.
Yeah.
But it's me that you have to impress with them.
Okay.
Which
Right.
obviously you all will, because otherwise we wouldn't be working together. Okay, we're doing Allegretto. How do you remember which is Allegretto and which is Andantino, Iram?
Allegretto starting with D,
Good.
Andantino starting with F sharp.
Good. And so how do you remember that that's which way round?
Oh. Allegretto first and Andantino, but then which way
But
around?
what do you use a kind of trick to remember which is which? Or you just learnt it?
Yeah, you told us something, but I have my
That's
own.
what okay, well tell us, I want to share.
Yeah, so I remember Allegretto because after Allegro, in between them something.
Oh,
like
excellent,
Allegro,
yes.
Allegretto, then
Yes.
it is faster, and then Andante. What I'm doing is the third one, so F sharp.
Yes.
So something like
Yeah,
that.
excellent. That's
Go
another
for
really
it.
good way to
That's
do it.
great.
Yeah, brilliant. So Allegretto and then Andantino. So we're getting slower.
Slower,
aren't we?
yeah.
Slower,
Oh,
yes.
yes. 3 out. So the
Yes. Very nice.
That's a better way. Actually.
And a different way could be?
The second letter is more first nearer in the alphabet.
Yeah,
Like
it's in
as-
alphabetical order for the first note and the name.
Yeah.
You don't really have to say the second letter, but just the name. Yeah. Because you'll work it out. If you think Allegretto and Andantino, you have to look at the second letter.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful, everybody. Well done. Okay, so take a seat. What do we think are the new things introduced in this piece?
D string.
Is it brand new?
The G string. No.
G string is brand new, well done. D string is the first piece they've played lots of notes on it because they've only done long ago. Apart from perpetual motion in D, so do make sure that you do that even though it's not printed in the book, which is frustrating because it makes it very easy for kids and parents and teachers to forget about it. The perpetual motion in D, make sure that you do it. Because otherwise this is the first piece that they've done really lots of D and A, and then it's also the first piece that they do G. So we want to minimise the amount of new things in each piece by using preview to introduce it ahead of time. Sounds like there are people in the walls.
It's something like kind of preview, right? Like proper, yeah, it's preview.
Yes, exactly. Are you feeling more confident about understanding preview and review?
Yes, preview beforehand, review about the piece. Yes.
After, yeah.
After the piece.
Great. Okay, what else sorry, tell me when you're ready for me to talk more.
Accent.
Very good.
Yes.
And look carefully at your music. Lots of people, because we learn mostly by ear at this point, and because the teachers mostly are not looking at the music, and because the teachers generally, even though this is not ideal, are not listening to the recording, and depending on which recording you listen to, it's not clear. So for a whole host of reasons, lots of people just stick with the same accent pattern all the way through and do da da dun da da dun da da dun in the third line. If you look at your music, it is a new pattern. We have da da dun ba ba bum. So this is actually their first upbow. No, sorry, it's not. It's their first quaver accent, brain. So, you know, if you were going to clap the accents, for example, that's a nice thing to do in group. Da da dun 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 da da dun. Oh, da da dun da da dun da da dun da da. Let's just do that because it's quite good to do.
So that you get them to sing it and clap it?
Yeah, or I might be playing it in
Okay.
group,
Yeah.
or some of them might be playing it and some of them might be clapping it, looking at the music if they haven't got to it yet. I really like to try and encourage my students to bring their books to group.
Yeah.
Most people don't. I mean, most teachers don't, and therefore most students will forget for ages because they're not ever looking at the book, which is why I think it's a good idea to bring the book and do exercises like that. Will help them track where they are in the music. It will help with their sight reading, you know, and it means that you've got a whole host of other options that you can do with students who can't play the piece with fingers yet.
Can they mostly read by this time or not?
They can read, I can read music sort of fingers less than 5 perhaps. So they're definitely not reading this kind of level, but they can track hopefully.
So can I just ask, because it's been confusing me for a while,
Yeah, sure.
when you're teaching mainly by ear, when they go home to practice, what happens if they forget? Have you written anything for them, or they just rely on the recording to remind them what you did in the lesson?
Parents.
How the piece goes, I don't teach how the pieces go. Because if you're teaching, and this is a really big difference between established, well, what would I say? Excellent teachers and lots of good teachers and not so good teachers, is that if you are a teacher who teaches notes and rhythms and bowings, your students are not playing by ear, they're playing by imitation.
Yeah, I really.
So if you have students who really are playing by ear, you never need to teach them a piece, you only need to teach them, not never. After, say, Go Tell Aunt Rhoda, you don't need to teach them how a piece goes, you just need to teach them the bits that are too confusing or too technically challenging for them to play by ear. So by the time that I've got a student at this level, while we're on perpetual motion, I will say, here's the box, show them the G string. The box, let's draw the box in now, is the last 2 notes of the last 2 notes of bar 8 up to the last D in bar 10. I managed to get it out of my mouth.
That's a box.
That is the box. And I'm hoping by this time they're doing it 10 times, but it depends how old they are. You know, if they're 8, they should be able to do it by 10 times-ish. If they're going very quickly and they're only 5, they may well not be able to. Might feel too many. So it's specific to the child.
And you would have taught them that, and their parent would have
Taken a video.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a huge problem with students' books having D0, D1, D2, so that they can see what the notes are.
Yeah.
I don't care if the parent wants to do that, because I think the parents have got a massive job to do already, and if they can't learn it by ear and they can't work out the processes, fine. These books are £6.95, buy another book, have a blank book, write them in, don't ever let your child see it. But then that means if you're doing a box, for example, you can say, okay, can you play me this, da da da, and then it's G1 because you've written it in, da da da. Because for them to be able to find a perfect fifth down by ear in a way that means they can also do the box, it's like you're overlaying too many things on them.
So you might put the occasional one, but because I've got a problem with that, and I do it because out of desperation, because I haven't got better technique, putting all the notes on.
Yeah, I think it's a really slow process to get them to really learn by ear. You can't just start it over, you know, you can't just decide, right, this week I'm never going to write another number in again. It's a long, you know, a year long maybe process to teach them the skills they need to wean them off that.
Right.
And that's okay. I mean, you know, Sharon Beamer's students always used to have all of the notes written into she used to give them a leaflet with all the notes and the fingers written in, and her students were absolutely amazing. Like some of the best teachers in, you know, best teaching in the country, in the world perhaps. So like it's not, you know, it's not a deal breaker, but it's not teaching by ear, that's the thing. Like you have to hone in on what it is that you are doing with that. What you're doing is making sure that the ones who find it difficult to play by ear don't learn how to. Some of them will anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah,
it does.
great. Okay, so during perpetual motion we might do the box as preview, or they might finish perpetual motion. This is exactly where Riker is. And I might say, do you want to do the doubles now, or do you want to do Allegretto and then come back to the doubles? I quite often take a break from perpetual motion. The reason that I'm really keen on doing the twinkles in D is so that if you haven't yet done perpetual motion in D, even though I don't want you to forget it, if they get to the end of perpetual motion singles and then they're like, I'm really bored of this piece, I really want to learn a new piece, you don't then have to say, well, you can't because we've got to do perpetual motion in D before you do Allegretto if you've been doing lots of twinkles in D. So then I would say to them, okay, great, so go and have a go at Allegretto. Mum, try not to give them the finger numbers, just try and sing. You know, and by this point they've done loads of singing, of copying little bits of music. So I'll say, da da da, what's that pattern? And they go, it's a scale! You go, okay, great, starts on D. You have to give them the first note. Well, it's kind to give them the first note. What about this? Da da. Oh, I don't know, I'll have to. Some of them will know that it's a skip, but mostly not. Mostly they'll try, you know, they'll try lots of different notes until they find it. And I think that process of trial and error, which is something that I was not brought up to do, is really helpful for their like mental ability to be okay with making mistakes. Because it's impossible to become a good musician without making mistakes, and yet so many of us are just petrified of it, and we can really help our students by making it a part of their practice. You cannot do this unless you're making mistakes. So then they realise right from early on that making a mistake is helpful to them and it's part of the growth mindset, rather than that, you know, the ideal violinist has never played a note wrong in their life, which I think is what some of us think.
Yeah, my son for a long time still is confused between listening and making a mistake. I keep telling him listening is different, making a mistake different. Because every time when he do a mistake, he's telling me, am I listening? Yes, you are listening. This is something else. Sometimes
So maybe you can say to him, you are listening. If you realise you've made a mistake, then you know you're listening, because if you weren't listening, you wouldn't know that you've made a mistake. And the skill then is to hear the mistake and be able to correct it. And then the next skill is, can you remember what you did to correct it so you can avoid making a mistake every time? Because this is one of the things that happens with some children who learn by ear, is that, for example, they'll play, oh no, that's not right. Well, what do you need to do? Go higher or lower? Okay, I'll go higher. No, that's not right. No, that's not right. And they'll spend ages faffing about, and eventually they'll be like, oh, I found it. And then you go, brilliant, okay, let's do it again. And then they do the whole thing again. And then they go home and they do the whole thing again. And so it's a two-part process. You have to find the right note, and then you have to learn what the right note was, so the next time you do it correctly, or the fifth time you do it correctly, or whatever. But so you don't just rely on that, oh yeah, I'll just like pick a bunch of notes until I find the right one every time. Because obviously that slows you down a lot. Okay. The colours are useful for the structure. Iram, can you tell me what the structure? Sorry, no, I've asked you loads of things. Jackie, what would you say the structure of this piece is?
So it'll be the same.
In like A, yeah.
And it's A again, but slightly different on the two.
Yeah. How would you describe that?
A1.
Yep, perfect.
A1, and then B. And then A again. A1.
A1 again, yeah, exactly. So you can show that in a child-friendly way with these lines, like you can see on my photo. For me, I prefer to do this without fourth fingers, because if you take away the fourth fingers, what is the benefit you are introducing? So if you don't do the fours, what do they practice more that they would not practice if they were doing the fours? Exactly. So it really improves their string crossing to play this without the fours. So keep getting that A-D-A-D across that rhythm. Whereas, and also I think for my students who've only just started doing fours in perpetual motion, to play that F sharp A G 2-4-3 pattern quickly enough is really tricky. So I would rather give them a little go at more string crossing and keep doing the fours in perpetual motion. And also then we're going to come back to page 34 and talk about that, because that will help. And then in review, you can say, okay, no open A's in this piece. Or you can teach them where the fours will be and where the fours won't be.
Oh, I missed it, sorry. Can you?
In review, you can do it the other way if you want.
Okay.
So, but please write at the top of your page, because it will depend on the child, using fours equals easier string crossing. Using opens equals more complex string crossing.
Equals easy for string crossing.
If you use the four, and using opens is more difficult for string crossing.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yes, of course. Using fours
Yes.
equals easier string crossing, but obviously the fours are hard. Using opens equals more difficult string crossing. Okay, what else is in this piece? It's a tiny little, basically 2 lines of music with a slightly different ending, but there's so much packed in. What else is packed in there? We've talked about the accents, we've talked about the fours and the open strings, we've talked about the D string, so that's already quite a lot. We've talked about introducing the G string.
Yeah.
The pause and the re-leading. So
Very good, yeah, so they need to lead. And what's the difference between the leading they've done before? In which piece, Iram, which piece did we teach them to lead in before? After a pause.
Oh. No, not that one. I don't remember.
You can look at the list of pieces if you want.
I think it. Music. Oh. Too many. Something missing here.
Let's do it this way. Is it like your own?
No.
Is it O Come Little Children?
It is
Is it Song of the Wind?
No.
Is it Go Tell a Roadie? Nope.
No? Wait a second.
Is it maison? So you need a pause because
Yeah,
at
I'm
the
trying to
beginning,
think.
yeah, great. Obviously they can lead in all of those pieces,
Mhm.
but later on. Is it long ago?
No.
Is it Allegro? This is very good for you. You're doing very well. I'm putting you really on the spot.
Yes.
Yes! Well done! Very good. So the difference between these kind of leading is you have loads of time for a start and it's a downbeat. Whereas here, that does not help me. Not much time. And there's no retake, and it's an upbeat lead. So you lead to an upbeat. And also quicker notes. So if we're talking about leading, you don't really need to write this down now because I think we'll do something on it another time, but you're thinking about the most basic type of leading is from the heel for a downbeat with all the time in the world to prepare. And then you get slightly more complicated, less time to prepare, still at the heel for an upbeat. And what do you think would be the next most tricky thing to lead, Sarah? What kind of, not what piece, what kind of leading?
What was the second thing you said?
So with an upbeat,
Yeah.
but still from the heel.
An upbeat from the tip. Or
Exactly, or from the
an
middle,
upbeat.
yeah. So we might say, okay, well then if you're ready to lead something new, Happy Farmer, or O Come Little Children. Those are going to be the next most difficult ones. And then, later on in book 2 we have more tricky ones. Yeah, good. Okay, so we've got leading. So these are going to be your tick boxes at the top. Leading, perhaps in review.
So they can go on from it without, well they have to lead it, don't they?
Well, only if they're playing with the piano.
Oh, yeah.
And what is the next thing you say?
Maybe in review. Because you don't actually need to lead it until you're playing it with someone else.
Oh, okay.
So they can play it in group because you will be leading, or a
Yeah.
more advanced student. They can play it. They can even play it with the piano because you can, if you play the piano, for example,
Yeah.
you can lead it for them.
Yeah.
Da, da, da. Yeah, lots of people do that. But eventually, you want them to be able to lead.
Yeah.
The fast bows for the accents, and short bows for the quavers. So bow speed you could put if you just want to simplify it.
They are boxes, right?
Yeah,
Accents or for the accent you said.
accents or bow speed. Z.
So bow speed is one thing, accent is, but the accent you
Probably. Yeah, probably. Or I mean, it's up to you.
And short bows also. The box.
Short bows for the quavers.
Mhm.
So little. What do I say normally? Because long is slightly wrong, isn't it?
Half, no.
Well, not half. Little big. That's what I normally say. Mobile left elbow. This is a really good chance for you to check that they're not stuck here and just doing that, because you might miss it on this piece, but in other pieces later on, like Gossack or up to you. And if they haven't brought their left elbow forward, because then they're just going to be stretching the 3. So this is a good time to start teaching them about that left elbow. A nice exercise for that is this one, with the 4th finger. They will not be comfortable doing that unless they've got a good setup on the violin side and the head. You can start twinkle on G. That will definitely need a left elbow prep because of the G3.
Sorry, I was just thinking, do you say left elbow forward? Because I would say under and then they get confused because it could be under either way, couldn't it?
Yeah,
So
so
you
forward.
just-
Forward is very helpful.
Okay.
You can't really get it wrong.
Is it also box? Left elbow?
Yeah. Mobile left elbow.
Mobile.
Mobile, so mobile meaning easy to move. You don't want it to be stuck in one place. So you should have, and I'm going to put tone as a box because you really want to make sure the tone on the D and the G is okay. Because it's relatively new. So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes, bow speeds, leading, accents, mobile left elbow and tone.
And finger fun, it's not blocking, right? It's
Finger?
finger one when it goes to G.
No, we're not blocking, we're hopping.
Hopping, yeah.
If they block, it's fine as long as their finger is in a good position.
Okay.
But I'm not teaching blocking at this stage. And this is a lovely time to do long ago in D or even maybe on G, depending on whether they've got like a concert with a play together coming up where they might want it in G. Or not.
And you said it's a good time to do twinkle in G.
Yeah.
Can you repeat this one? Not the twinkles, but the other one.
You can do long ago, starting on D. Very good for the left elbow because of this. Or starting on G. Sorry, I played the wrong version. Or starting on G. And do you remember what we do with the note that would be on C if we were playing viola? Excellent, yeah. So. Make sense, Sarah?
Yeah.
Yep, great. Oh, wunderbar.
But that's on G, right? So
Yeah, that's on G.
So no D.
Well, if you do it in D, it's fine. Still, you get the G1. So it's the same note. So it depends. If you have someone who needs small steps, long ago in D is better.
Yeah.
If you have someone who's just like Riker, then they can do whatever you want them to do. Okay? So what are the things you are going to review before doing Allegretto? One thing each, please. Iran.
Preview, you mean?
Review before doing Allegretto. So review to help with this piece.
Oh, okay.
So another piece, an old piece, maybe in a new way,
Okay.
which will help with this
We
piece.
did long ago on G, twinkle on G.
Yeah, one thing each, please, otherwise you'll take them all for someone else. Excellent, yeah. So using the G string twinkles
Oh, yeah.
or long ago, brilliant. Sarah, another thing?
Perpetual motion on D.
Very good. Can you think of something that addresses a different teaching point?
Then other than going to the G. Allegretto and Andantino.
Excellent, well done. And that leaves you in a tricky situation, Jackie. What else might you review for this piece?
I said Allegro because of the retake and lead,
For the leading.
even though there's no retake before this starts. But, so,
I'm not actually sure what you're going to say.
Okay.
What you could say, I mean.
So you have leading, you have full speed.
Could you think of an exercise that would help them with accents?
With accents. The twinkle theme with accents. Like la, la, no.
Maybe. One with
No.
one that would a twinkle that would be even better.
For accents?
For this
stop,
piece.
Stop when I'm pony.
Yeah, stop pony, stop pony.
something.
Yeah. Or but that's really hard. They'll mess that up a lot. So I would stick with stop pony and then just explain that it's slightly different in the piece. Good work, everyone. Right, so page 34. I teach the G major finger pattern instead of this here, which is on page 36. We're going to talk about that in a minute. When you look at this page, what are your thoughts about the top three? Let's just do them. So this kind of tempo. Ready? Ready? And. Double time. Again. And finish on the. Yeah. Very good. A string. Double time. And last one. Ready? And. Beautiful. Right, thoughts please. For a child who has just done perpetual motion and not yet done Allegretto, what are your thoughts about these three exercises?
It's quite fast moving.
It's really hard.
Yeah, you know, single.
Like it coming back. So
Yeah.
So
All of the skips, yeah. It's really hard. And if you make it a tempo that kind of could work for them, the first time is so slow. Okay, that's really hard. That's still really hard. So then if we halve that. Oh my god, I want to go. It's too slow. No, I don't want to do it. So, I leave it till later.
So this this page is.
No, these three lines. I do probably after etude. I haven't actually written it down.
After which one?
Etude.
Oh, yes.
I will confess. I probably don't do this with all my students. My students seem to be good, so it's obviously not damaging them too much. But you know, some of them are so into this kind of thing, and then of course it's great to do it, and they want to do it on the G straight away, even though that's even trickier. And then others are just like, you ask them for weeks if they've done it, and then other times I just think there's so much else going on. And probably I didn't do it, so probably part of why I don't do it is because I It's fine. I don't really remember, I was very young, but you know, anyway, I do try and do them, but I would not do 3 in a row. I would wait until you can do them on all 4 strings, and I would wait, you know, do one week, one the next week, one the week after that, one week the week after that. And if you have a child who likes them, great, put it on a review list, make sure they keep doing them. If you don't have a child who likes them, I think the skills are being built elsewhere, as long as they have a really good review in their practice. What do we think about preparation number 2 in D major for tonalisation?
You mean the page are they on page 34?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do we think?
What do we think? I'll just play it to you. Repeat, I'm not going to. What are the skills they're building if they do this? 1,
Angle, bow angle,
bow angle, more detail please?
lifting the wrists, and playing 2 strings at a
Playing
time.
2 strings at a
Yes.
time. This is an entirely new string crossing angle.
Yeah.
Also,
Keeping the sound consistent.
great. Also, what else are they playing in this?
The sound consistent in both strings.
Think left hand,
Finger tree pressure.
playing an octave in tune.
Yes, tune. Yeah.
Why is this here?
Yeah.
They've only just learned to play on the G string.
Mm.
I'm completely befuddled by this. Like, they're not going to learn to tune for at least 2 more books in book 3. They don't play a double stop until they do pizzicato double stops in book 2 and actual double stops in book 3. And like,
It's too much.
I mean, why?
It wasn't in the Suzuki book that I learned from.
Are you sure?
I'll check, but I'm really.
Have a check.
Yeah.
I think it might be in there and most people just ignore it. So let's go. No, thank you. Too early. I mean, maybe it's not clear. It says listen for the beautiful resonance of the 2 strings. Maybe what they mean is the teacher plays this and the child listens. In which case I think, oh my god, it's so boring, do something else. Too early.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
The book I learned how to play violin. After learned all the strings each, it teaches 2 strings together before the pressing the fingers. It was different method. It just reminded me that exercise.
I mean, we would
is
definitely
that-
do open strings before with fingers for double
Yes,
stops, but
Not
I just think not yet.
And it's
They're not
very-
even grade 2 equivalent, you know, like.
So just
No, thank you. And what do we think about the last bit of this page?
if they already do it,
Yes, we've already done it.
Where did you do it? So I didn't write that.
when you do A, when you do A major.
Page
Okay.
30. Right, we have about 17 minutes to try and do Andantino, so let's make sure that we can bust through this quickly. So in your own time you can put in the colours for the structure. Iram, can you tell me the structure using A and A1 and etc.?
It's like A.
Yeah.
A1
Good.
and a B started.
Yep.
And then A1.
Excellent. It would also, well done, it would also be right to call it A2. Why would that be, Sarah? The last time?
Because it's the same.
No. Rather than A1, I mean. But I'm saying A1 is also correct.
No,
The last line has a,
So far from me.
the pause.
yes, a pause.
So you
So if you said it was A, A1, B, A2, I would also say that's correct because the pause is there and it's not in A1. But given that the notes are identical, I think it's also fine to call it A1.
Yeah.
Good. So, between these two pieces, check the G major scales on page 36. So we should do them before etude,
Page George's.
sorry, before Andantino, page 36, but we are going to go through them when we get there, in the order of the book. And at this point, so as you start Andantino, start preview boxes in etude, which again we will go over when we get to etude. Just write it for now. Start preview boxes for etude.
Do you mean G major scale on page George's 6?
Yeah, that's what I said, G major. Yeah.
Um,
So check your G major scales, which you should have already done, because we do it instead of page 34.
G major scale.
Yeah. And also maybe on page 34, like I have up here, you can say, do sad, go tell Aunt Rhody. And we'll talk about that when we get to the G major stuff.
I don't understand that.
Page 34. Right, teach G major scale pattern instead of this page here.
Okay.
That's page 36. And also, do sad, go tell Aunt Rhody. But you don't need to understand that because we haven't done it yet. Just write it and then we'll work on it next week probably.
Go tell Aunt Rhody.
Sad, go tell Aunt Rhody.
Sad.
Sad.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, it's going to be
Minor.
minor.
Yes.
Ah.
It's on the Dropbox, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to G major. So, Andantino. Right, let's bust through this quickly. Start at the balance point, please. That's the same for Allegretto, in case you didn't write it down, but I think most of you will know. Your tick boxes are going to be fours and opens.
Different boxes or
No, one box, fours and opens. Up bow accents, and then write in brackets, probably in review, because they're very hard.
Up or accents. Did you say one more thing?
Probably in review.
So I will double check the word again. Review when the piece is finished. Check everything. That's
So maybe when they're on Happy Farmer, you might come back and teach them how to do the up bow accents. Yeah, good.
So we've got two boxes.
Bow, no, I'm just making sure everyone's written
Right.
it down. Bow distribution or division, whichever word you prefer, you can use, it's the same thing.
This is a zigzag, isn't it?
Yeah. So you might want to put zigzag bowing as an extra one, or you might have it covered by bow distribution.
Movable elbow, did you say?
Mobile left elbow, yeah.
Where is it? By left elbow here. In Andantino.
Well, because you just want to check that for the D4, you don't just want the elbow to move for G.
Okay.
So in that line, you know, there are 3 different levels. My teacher, when I was much more advanced, like post-college, made me do, I don't know if you know the do you know?
Well, no, what is
It's
it?
a Kreutzer study, but she said that what you want to reduce RSI. So this is for you, not for your students. But what you want to reduce RSI is as much as possible to use the big muscles to change and not the small ones. So if you can have your fingers the same shape all the time, and the elbow dictate which string they go onto, then this is much better for your health. So we don't know it, but. So the elbow is changing all the time, and so I think for our students, like, you really should be able to see that this is moving. Very important. Okay, so
Which Kreutzer one is that? Do you remember? Because I've heard of it.
no, but I can show you very quickly because I see my room now open. Here I am. But we'll do it in the break. Okay, so let's play Andantino. Sorry, we should have done that before. And we're going to play the advanced version. So we are going to think about the zigzag bows. So that by the time you get to here, you have the whole bow. Just go that way a little bit because of the computer, sorry. Okay. So this is really, really complicated. Doing an accent on a minim, on an up bow from the tip, very hard. Even leaving it into book 2, I think is completely fine. So the things that you need to check for when you do get there eventually are that the zigzag bowing means you're doing big, slightly smaller, big, slightly smaller, big, slightly smaller, big, slightly smaller, big. So that you are literally gradually getting there. It's not da da dun da da dun da da da.
So every time you have a down bow, go.
They're slightly bigger, yeah, and the up bow's less. So travelling bow, you can also call it. And then here we want to get the stick and the hair really engaged from the squeezy bow hand. And then in the right arm, you also need quick, slow. So a lot of the time when you start playing this with the students, what you'll hear is so it's hard.
So first slope, you instead of
First
saying
slow, pinch, release.
pinch, that's it.
Two things. Two out of three on the tone triangle. And it's the first time we've combined them. We've done pinches for the accents in Allegretto, but they haven't changed, and fast bow, so they are combined, but they haven't changed the speed of the bow and changed from pinch to not pinch in one bow before.
Oh, so it is, I'm sorry, I don't know. So first 2 bars before we reach the long E note. So short, short, long, short, 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 long, long.
Well, not quite. Basically, all of the up bows shorter than they should be if you're keeping it even.
Okay, so,
So
it's traveling maybe.
Da, 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 da. You don't have to measure it.
Yeah.
You just have to see that they're not. You know, who can think of a good way to use twinkle for this? If you were in a group and you wanted to learn this, or you just do it in your private lessons, what fun game could we do to practice this kind of bowing, like uneven bow distribution?
In which one? In which
In
one?
A twinkle?
Dr. Suzuki?
Maybe?
Dr.
How though?
For traveling bow, right?
Oh,
Yes, but can you show us how? What would you ask the students to do?
Okay. I can ask them maybe, let's play Dr. Suzuki Twinkle. Or maybe open string first might be easier before we play whole twinkle. And try to travel one by one. Go to point.
Okay,
Then try to reach there, or maybe we can attach a little toy.
nice, yeah.
And try to.
Can you show me?
Let me try.
Yeah, that's very good. That's maybe slightly more complicated than it needs to be. Maybe you could just do, okay, we're going to practice. I think it's a good idea not to worry about fitting it into the number that you have in the piece eventually. Let's all play. I will be your teacher, then we play, and then I'll give you time to write it down. So no fingers, we're just going to practice working our way on that rhythm, yellow, blue, all the way to the tip. Just see how many it takes you. Ready? And. So Sarah, you're a little bit stuck, so use bigger down bows and try and restrict the up bows. Ready, and. Yeah? Better?
Yeah.
Yeah? One more
So
time?
it's just the first one that you're doing big?
No, because we don't want this.
No, I mean the first one of each group.
No, just all the down bows are a bit bigger
Okay,
than all the up bows. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So then the next step would be, okay, now we've only got 3 times to get it in. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, ready? Go. 1, 2, 3. Brilliant, well done. And you just would want to watch out for someone going, I'm here! Not really a zigzag bow, just a big splodge. And then we could play. And it would take a million years. So you probably only want to do bread or something. Or on DNA.
Gender blue.
Sorry?
Gender blue.
Yeah, the same as here. So the rhythm from the first 2 bars.
Is it?
On
Is this
Twinkle
one?
in D of Andantino.
Is there a voice?
Not really, because it's in review, so So if you think about using Twinkle as a box, how many sets of the rhythm are there in Twinkle? Do you know? How many notes? Like for Busy Busy Stop Stop, how many times do we play Busy Busy Stop Stop in Busy Busy Stop Stop?
So 6.
No, in the whole thing.
Oy.
Count, ready? Now you can probably work it out.
6, 16, 17,
24.
Yes.
Exactly. So if you play only bread, they have still done an 8 box of that. I mean, lots of them will be much happier to play bread of Twinkle than they will to just do 8 times that box.
Okay.
Did you say this is preview, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I'm saying it's complicated is because it's not preview because we're not teaching it the first time in this piece, but it's preview for how you teach the accents when they're ready to do it in review.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you know, there's overlap, there's a Venn diagram there.
Yeah.
I like to point out that throughout the piece, and that means I don't do the marked fingering in line 3, I do 4 on the A string and then open string instead of 4 on D string. Also because in a scale I would never dream, unless it was very slow and in a piece, of playing. I would always so I'd take the A on open A and the 4 on the and the E on 4 on A. And then that means we have a lovely pattern which is 4 A
some of my teachers, they ask me to do 4s all the time, even going down, and I find it really difficult. And I don't sometimes, I don't know. Should I not? The question is it a thing here to do 4 on this going down and open going up on the scale, or is it just something they made up?
No, it's not a thing here. It's a thing that people will use if you need to practice 4s. But I mean, if you're doing a grade 5 exam, for example, etc.
But then going down.
I can't play the violin.
Can I not do it?
Yeah, please don't.
Okay.
I prefer to find musically enjoyable ways to practice whatever it is you need to practice. So I would rather play if you want to practice getting your 4 ready quickly, because sometimes you do have to. But if I'm going to play 3 octaves, it just sounds so much nicer with the open strings.
Yeah.
It's not that exciting anyway, certainly for students.
That's more comfortable.
Yes.
It's very
And also the open strings are really important for the kids for anchoring their intonation.
Yeah.
That's why things like E flat major 2 octaves is already grade 5. Because there's no open strings and there are very few ringing notes. Even though, you know, D is grade 2. Maybe 3. But the same finger pattern. It's about the intonation and about using the resonance of the instrument to help you. Okay, we're getting sidetracked. So, no, it's not your fault. Okay, so I would talk to them about the 4 and open pattern. And so, to give you an idea of how most of my students would play this for a credit, they would probably play. So they're doing the right length of bow. We're not worrying about the accents, and they're using a very slight amount of zigzag bow so that they don't run out of bow. So they wouldn't play, because then that's just horrid. But we're not, you know, the accents and the more advanced bow distribution is coming later once they're into book 2.
You talk about the open and floor fingers, right?
Yeah. The pattern. And also another thing about that pattern for the 4s is that it's introducing the 4th finger rule, which is that if you can avoid a string crossing by using 4, you do. And if you have to do the string crossing anyway, use open.
Yeah.
So here, I would say to them, okay, try both ways. Let's try with the 4. What strings are you using? Only D. Okay, try with open. What strings are you using? D and A. So if the 4th finger rule, which they don't learn for ages but we talk about, and I remind them what it is to avoid string crossing if you can by using the 4, which one are we going to choose? 4. And then we go, okay, the next one. Okay, so try it with the 4. What strings did you use? D and A. Try it with the open. What strings did you use? D and A. So should we use the 4 or not? No. It doesn't work for the 2 lines, for the A, open A coming down. Well, no, that's not true actually. It does, doesn't it? Works throughout.
You do use a 4 on bar 11 either, don't you?
Yeah, but that also corresponds to that rule.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Yeah, yeah.
So the rule is avoid open strings for extra string crossing, right?
Avoid
Open.
extra string crossing by using 4 if you can. Yeah, if you can use 4 to avoid a string crossing, then do. If you have to do the string crossing anyway, don't bother with 4.
It's already difficult and make it even more difficult with 4.
And then for my more advanced students later on we will say, unless there's a reason that you don't want to listen to that open string. Good, we are making very good progress on our teaching points. Let's pause the old video there.
So we've got 3, 40, 40.